This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states. This is a message for anyone who's ever felt like their bra was just fine. Third Love is here so you don't have to settle for good enough. A company founded by women just like you who know what struggling to find a bra feels like. For over 10 years, they've been redefining what a comfortable bra looks and feels like, focusing on innovative design and high-quality materials. We're talking about bras, yes, bras, made with thoughtful details to solve common problems. Want to stay cool and comfortable all day? Third Love offers innovative thermo-regulating fabric that has you covered. Looking for a little extra lift? Need smoothing? Even need to add a cup size? They've got it. And the fit? It's unmatched. Third Love believes everyone deserves a bra that fits perfectly, which is why they offer over 60 sizes from AA through H. They even have exclusive half cup sizes, which means if you're in between sizes, you can get a perfect fit every time. Stop settling for average bras. Get solutions made for your body. Get $15 off your perfect fit bra at thirdlove.com with code podcast15.
Cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, obesity. These 4 diseases, and there's more, are symptoms in part of unhealthy muscle. 98% of Americans are overeating processed foods. Period. End of story. The majority of individuals, they are eating a highly processed food diet. We can all agree that that's not the best. Muscle is the organ of longevity. It is the most underappreciated organ system in the human body.
When you put it like that, it makes me want to pay attention.
Exercise makes you smarter and makes you think quicker. And this actually comes from seeing patients over years. And there are a few attributes that you show me and I know how successful this person is in any domain of their life. As high as you go is as low as you're going to fall. People will only ever get as healthy as they feel worthy of.
I feel like I'm getting a master class in how to work with myself.
I'm going to say something that I can't believe I'm going to say.
Oldish. The art of knowing more and caring less. With your host, Randy Spelling, Brian Austin Green, and Sharna Burgess.
Today's guest is phenomenal. She is a New York Times best-selling author of the book Forever Strong. She is a board-certified family physician in practice in over 20 years, still working with patients, and she has a new book coming out called Forever Strong Playbook. I'm telling you right now, this is an episode that went very differently than I even thought. It is motivating, it's exciting, it's inspiring to hear a doctor have a conversation in the way that we are. This is one you're not going to want to miss. So without further ado, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, welcome to Oldish.
I'm so excited to be here. I think Oldish is an interesting name. We were chatting before, and maybe this episode will make people better and oldish.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to focus on how we can feel youngish. And oldish, I'll say this, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It is an idea of where we get to this place in life where we start asking deeper questions. And I think you were the perfect guest to eliminate the noise that is out there and start to ask deeper questions from a family physician. I mean, 2 dual fellowships in nutritional science, geriatrics, working with many, many different types of patients still in practice. So I'm excited to have you here and get into this.
Me too. You said something really important, and that is you somewhat collapse the time. We live in a society where people don't think about middle age and also the later years. And it really does individuals a disservice because you can plan for your life, midlife, the wellness of yourself and your family.
Yes. So this is where it all changed for me. I have always worked out consistently, But I was at a place 2.5 years ago, and admittedly, I took a picture and I looked at myself and I just thought, this isn't my best. And it wasn't that there were, I was like severely overweight or anything, but I looked and I thought, I'm not pushing myself. I'm doing 10, 15-minute workouts. I want more for my life. I want to feel better. So I went to a new doctor who specialized in men's health. And what he said was, what do you want to be doing when you're 70, 80 years old? And I said, I don't know. I just want to be healthy. And he said, well, think about it. Because if you think about it, we can reverse engineer it. So why is it important to look at what we want to be doing? I mean, you worked in geriatrics and got to spend a lot of time at the end of people's lives. Why do we need to look at what we want to be doing later on and start asking those questions now?
Well, first of all, aging doesn't happen by accident. Aging is inevitable, but we have to become very focused on what we want to be doing and how we want to live. When you're young, you can get away with anything. I don't know about you, but in high school, I had the French fry diet. I'm embarrassed to say this, but I didn't care and it didn't matter. I was still able to stay fit and not think about it. I had a ton of energy. I could sleep, 3 hours a night. I don't know if you did that in high school, but I did.
Yeah.
And it had minimal to no effect. Something happens roughly the age of 35. And that's not a magic number. It's earlier for some people and later for others where things begin to change. And if we do not exercise agency, then the way in which we age is very predictable and common, which means people have this, quote, midlife crisis. It doesn't have to be a crisis. Midlife is another opportunity to be wise, take action, and really become discerning on the next right thought and right action to be able to live well. And it takes effort. It really does.
Yeah. So where does someone start if they're at this place in their life where they know that they need to get healthier, they need to make some changes? Where would be the best first place to start?
Exactly where you started, actually. You took a picture, you looked at yourself, and you said, you know what? I can do better. And then really doubling down on each vertical of health and becoming extremely honest with yourself. How are you thinking about your life? How are you moving? Are you really pushing yourself physically? How are you eating? And how are you recovering? And of course, there's a spiritual domain and a connection domain. But from the physical aspects, you have to get very clear on where your weaknesses are. People often think of, okay, well, these are my strengths. Your strengths are not what take you out. And we become very uncomfortable looking at the areas that we can improve, especially when it's physically.
Oh, it's so true. It's so why do you think we get uncomfortable with the areas that need improvement?
For two reasons. Number one, we love to chase novelty. And it's novelty of this diet, novelty of that diet, novelty of this thinking program, because humans are designed for chasing the shiny object. But it's a level of distraction. So if someone says, I don't know what to eat and I don't know how to train, it provides a scapegoat for not taking the next right action. And I understand that it is very difficult, especially in this landscape, because the velocity at which information spreads is faster than ever before.
It's head spinning.
It is head spinning. So you remember Dr. Atkins. You've heard of the Atkins diet. Okay. So for those listening, you guys are all oldish, so you better know who Atkins is. If you do not know who, you better either turn this off or I don't know what. But Dr. Atkins, in his prime, sold 10 million books. 1 in 11 Americans were on the Atkins diet.
Really?
Yeah.
It was that much?
Yes. And now you can go on TikTok and in 2 days have the same impact and velocity as some physician who spent a lifetime doing the reps, pouring into patients, doing the research. So on one hand, it becomes extraordinary, the information highway. But on the flip side of that, there are individuals putting information out there that is not up to the level that it should be. and it becomes very distracting. And in midlife, you'd mentioned geriatrics. And this is why I became so passionate about writing books and speaking, was because I didn't actually want to go into geriatrics, by the way.
Why did you?
Because I wanted to study nutritional sciences. And as a fellow, you have to get funding. And in order to get funding, you have to work in an area of medicine. I did a clinical research fellowship at WashU. So in order to cover my clinical research in obesity and nutrition, I had to be a doctor to get funding and training.
I see.
Geriatrics was the last thing that I wanted to look at because it made me face my own mortality. And it made me understand that life is impermanent and it's scary. And it sounds depressing. But the reality is there is a midlife window, and it's never too late to get well and to change your life. But the window, middle age, that closes. And so if we are distracted and not discerning about the information, we're chasing the next shiny object. And that window of opportunity becomes narrow and narrower each year. And I'll never forget this. I had just finished my fellowship. It was 2016. I had a practice in New York City on Fifth Avenue. Have you been there? Mm-hmm. Very fancy.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it. The rent was so high. But anyway, extremely fancy. And I opened up my phone, and I was not on social media. And I saw all this information about how you shouldn't eat red meat. It's going to kill you. Don't eat dietary protein. It's bad for your bones and your kidneys and all of this information. Now, keep in mind, I had studied and still do study with one of the world leading experts in protein metabolism. And I had just spent 2 years in nursing homes, going from bedside to bedside, watching people at the end of their life. And the information that I was seeing was so dangerous for people that I couldn't live with myself not doing something and not saying something. And so I think that especially from your perspective, I'm just learning that you're a life coach, which you never know what to expect from a host. And you have a very grounded energy and a very grounded sense to yourself.
Thank you.
And the only time that I see that is if someone is very mission driven. And when they are mission driven, they can settle into themselves. And so I'm excited that you are interested and open to talking about that. And I am betting that you do this because you've already had a very public life, that you do this to be able to impact others because you understand the necessity of it.
100%. And something that you have shared about working in geriatrics really touched me, because something that I always say and really truly believe, other cultures do it, I think we need to spend more time closer to death.
We do.
And I know that sounds crazy.
No, we
People are
do.
like, what do you mean?
We
But
do.
like you said, it's depressing. It's hard to look at. But when you are facing your mortality more on a daily basis, then you start to ask different questions. You start to appreciate life more, and you start to go, I'm not necessarily invincible. So what can I do today to live more on purpose, to frame it so that I'm not just sitting and looking at all the things that are going to take me out of fear, but how to become proactive and empowered?
Well, the first thing is life is full of impermanence. And one of the biggest things that I see that take people off track are these ebbs and flows of emotion. We all know January 1st comes around and we're chasing novelty, and they'll be in the gym, which is great, chasing the next diet, the next trend.
So let's talk about some of these diets while we're on it.
Great.
You mentioned Atkins. Atkins was high fat, low carb.
That's right.
Right? Now there is vegan, whole food, plant-based, carnivore. There is paleo, Whole30. Where it's so head spinning to know where to wind up. What is your sort of average diet that everyone is eating, what would you say that is? And what would you say would be better for people to move towards?
Well, anything is better than what we're doing now. According to the Healthy Eating Index, which is survey data, 98% of Americans are overeating processed foods. Period. End of story. We eat double the carbohydrates that we need, and our protein intake has been relatively steady. It's about 80 grams per day. And our fat consumption, our saturated fat is at 11%. So when we think about it, the majority of individuals, and probably not so the ones listening to your show, because I think they're very interested in their health and wellness, they are eating a highly processed food diet. We can all agree that that's not the best.
Sure. I mean, just from a common sense standpoint, but let's even define what that is. Someone says highly processed. What is that?
Anything that is packaged with multiple ingredients. This is a highly processed food. You also bring up a really good point. Not all highly processed food is bad. A whey protein shake would be considered a processed food. A protein bar is a processed food. But I am talking about high fat, calorie dense foods that are a mismatch to our muscle health. Because at the end of the day, food is fuel, we're all eating. But these diseases of aging and these chronic diseases that we are seeing, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's disease, which is type 3 diabetes of the brain, diabetes, which is poor glucose control, obesity, these 4 diseases, and there's more, are symptoms in part of unhealthy muscle. Muscle is your metabolic control. All of these foods that we are consuming, muscle has to be able to account for our chosen diet. For example, if we are eating 300 grams of carbohydrates a day, if someone is listening to this, they're like, oh, I feel like I'm in school again. Carbohydrates, those donuts, high fat, high carb. If it is white, like rice and pasta, pizza. Do you know tomato sauce is the number one fruit or I want to say fruit. Is it a fruit? Is it a vegetable?
Well,
fruit consumed? Tomato sauce.
Bananas
are the number one. Bananas are the number one fruit.
That doesn't surprise me. And if you look at the origin of bananas, you go to other countries, there's tiny bananas, there's starchier bananas, that we have the most sort of high sugared banana. But wait, tomato sauce.
So people will say, okay, well, what's the number one fruit and vegetable consumed? Well, tomato and bananas and potato.
French fries, potato chips.
Pizza.
And
it's embarrassing. I am embarrassed.
I'm sitting here feeling the same way.
I'm
like,
blushing.
What? Wow, okay.
And we are so far removed from what we should be doing. Over 70% of Americans are either overweight or obese. 50% of the population does not exercise. This is devastating, not just to where we are now, but with the increase in social media and computer use, we are setting up our youth, our future, to be. Have you ever seen the movie WALL-E?
Yes.
That's where we're going.
Yeah.
And now you ask, okay, so your original question is, out of all these different diets, how do we double down and what do we think about? So number one, recognize that we're eating a ton of processed foods. Number two, you mentioned paleo, Atkins. What this is defining is macronutrient consumption, fats, carbohydrates, protein, alcohol. And then paleo, that's really the kinds of foods that you are choosing. But before we get to any specific diet, humans, we are a species and we have a biological drive for nutrients. We have essential nutrients that we need. As animals, you know how they say, like, how does an animal know what to eat? They're not reading my playbook.
Right.
But there's they have an instinct. They know what to feed. Left out in nature, they know how to feed. And mammals, humans, we have that. And it's called the protein leverage hypothesis.
Ooh, what's that?
We, as humans, have a biological drive to consume about 20% of our diet from protein.
20%
Roughly
of the
20%.
diet. Okay.
You don't even have to think about it. right? But 20% of our, and right now we have maybe 14 or 15% of our diet is from protein. 55 plus is from carbohydrates, and the rest is from fat.
So can we
Yes.
get micro for a second? How would you break that down on a plate just for everyone to visualize this? Because I think it's one thing to talk about, and it's another thing, like, how do I see this on a plate? What is the standard of a plate?
Well, the standard of what I believe a plate should be, or the standard American plate?
What you were talking about, 20%.
Yes. Well, I'm going to frame this up for you because what we're really laying the foundation right now is how people can have agency. And the way that we give them agency is that we educate them. So there's a biological drive for 20% of your diet to be protein. Protein comes from beef, fish, eggs, dairy. Those are the main sources. And because our food is so dilute, meaning if you get a donut, it might have 1 gram of protein. So because there is this biological drive, which is out of our conscious control, then we are driving to eat more to get those amino acids that we need. And we will continue to feed on other foods subconsciously until that biological need is met.
I feel like you just did a mic drop moment right there. Wow. So the reason why, because you always hear this, we're over consuming processed foods. The reason why we're over consuming is because there's this biological need to get more of these macronutrients. And if we're not hitting it, we're not satiated.
That's right.
Wow. Okay.
Of course, there's that highly palatable food that is designed to be addictive. But the reality is we know that dietary protein is nature's GLP-1. When consumed in appropriate amounts, it sends signals to the brain and the gut that you have met your quality nutrients. So you asked, your question was, how do we know what to do? Mm-hmm. And my answer is the first thing that we have to understand is that there is a biological need. We have a need for essential amino acids. We cannot make them, and we drive to feed on them. And the reason I'm telling you this is because now the next step is we're going to build a nutrition plan. But if it's rooted in science, not novelty, then we can have some agency and understand this choice makes sense, this one doesn't. And if I choose this, then I know I'm going to continue to drive to eat more food.
Got it.
So, protein leverage hypothesis, there's a biological need and drive for amino acids. You cannot make them. And for the listener, I'm not going to go too deep into the weeds, but there are 20 different amino acids. 9 are essential. There's no essential carbohydrate. Again, all these different diets, your body can generate all the carbohydrates it needs.
There's no essential carbohydrate.
That's right.
So when someone says a sandwich, pasta, pizza,
You don't need it, my friend.
You don't need it.
Mm-mm.
And what if people say, but what about fiber?
Yeah, fiber is important. Can't make that, but it's not a need. Most of us do not consume enough fruits and vegetables. But just be aware that when you are doing your Peloton or you're doing your training session, and then afterwards you're like, oh God, I need a smoothie. I need to refill my glycogen. No, honey, you don't. We don't. Like, we just don't. You're having carbicide in a bottle. And we're going to talk about how we design a diet. Dietary protein, the recommendation that I recommend and that is evidence-based is 0.7 grams per pound. And for you guys listening out there, protein is the most essential macronutrient. We need more of it as we age. Again, beef, chicken, fish, eggs, whey, dairy. You cannot make those essential amino acids.
And before we skip over, for those saying, what about plant-based? Can you get essential protein?
Yes. Here's the reality. The average vegan, and this comes from survey data, the average vegan eats 50 grams of protein a day.
Which is under the RDA, even.
The RDA is based on weight, but I recommend at least 100 grams of protein a day. So this is if you are vegan or vegetarian, which by the way, I was for 10 years. until my hair started falling out, until I became anemic, until I really struggled with health and wellness. The majority of people that go on a vegan diet will come off in 6 months. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with experimenting, but just recognize that the body is very diverse and you can make nearly any diet work for you. You have to be very careful. So I will say the message to go plant-based is detrimental, especially to an aging population. We can be plant-forward and have fruits and vegetables. But again, if we recognize that these amino acids are essential, can you get them from plant sources? You can. However, I just told you that Americans are over-consuming carbohydrates. We are eating double the amount of carbohydrates that we need. The average body in a sedentary person can only dispose of around 50 grams of carbohydrates in a 2-hour period. If they don't, we have a disease for that. It's called diabetes. The way in which you improve glucose use is through exercise. And I just told you 50% of Americans are not exercising. So while we're talking about diet and we're talking about these various diets, we have to match the diet with our muscle health. Mm. Dietary macronutrients must match muscle health. So if someone is going to be plant-based, then they should choose soy, tempeh, various forms of plant proteins. Do I recommend that? I don't. Because right now, Americans eat 30% animal products in their diet. 65% of our micronutrients come from that 30%. B12, zinc, selenium, bioavailable iron. We do not need to overcomplicate things, because when we do and we increase this cognitive load, when things go wrong and people are hungry and you tell them to go more plant-based, what they do is they avoid animal-based products and meat and eat more potato chips. Mm-hmm. They're not eating more broccoli. And another thing is, and again, I was plant-based for a really long time, but when we are seeing an aging population and a group of people that are not active, it takes 2 cups of rice and beans, 6 cups of quinoa, 420 almonds. So if we're just getting real, if we're getting real about truly designing a diet that is meeting the protein need, it is very difficult to do it with a carbohydrate control. Not impossible. You can have a ton of soy protein and a ton of shakes, but at some point, it's just not nutrient dense.
Yeah, that's so interesting. That is a lot.
So fall has this sneaky way of showing up. It really does. Like one day it's iced coffee and sandals, and the next it is, why are my feet getting cold?
Right? So
right?
cold, especially my toes. You know what it means to me is that it's time to break out my new Bombas Higher socks. They are warm, they're cushy, and honestly, they're the only socks that I'm going to be wearing this season.
Well, okay, I just got the new Bombas slippers last week. Oh my gosh, they are ridiculously comfortable. I don't really want to leave the house once they're on type comfortable.
That's it, man. They really do. Like the merino wool that keeps you cozy without overheating, the Supima cotton that actually breathes, that thick rag wool, that's the kind of sock that feels like hot chocolate. It's like hot chocolate by the fire.
Yes,
it's delicious.
It totally is like that. And you know, it really feels good when you remember that every purchase means Bombas donates an item to someone experiencing homelessness. That's over 150 million items so far and counting.
Which means that while we're staying warm, someone else is staying warm too. I mean, I just feel good knowing that.
Definitely.
They have this happiness guarantee too. Like it means that if for any reason it's not a perfect fit, they're going to make it right, which is crazy. It's no hassle, no stress.
Honestly, though, you're probably going to just want more.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true. You guys should head to bombas.com/audio and use code audio for 20% off your first purchase.
That's bombas.com/audio.
Code audio for 20% off your first purchase.
Bombas, they're more than just socks.
Monday Sidekick, the AI agent that knows you and your business, thinks ahead and takes action. ask it anything. Seriously. Monday Sidekick. AI you'll love to use. Start a free trial today on monday.com.
Of quinoa. That is a lot of almonds to get your protein needs. So in terms of protein, in terms of muscle, I want to touch on why it's so important to have muscle, to pay attention to muscle. And I think the misnomer is that people hear skeletal muscle and they think bodybuilding. They think, someone's going to walk around jacked. For a lot of women, that can be scary. Where do we start in the muscle conversation?
Well, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but muscle is the organ of longevity.
I have heard it because I've listened to you.
It is the most underappreciated organ system in the human body. People will say skin is the largest organ. No, it's not. Muscle makes up 40% of your body weight. Can you imagine if that tissue, that organ system was inflamed or that organ system was unhealthy? This means that you have 40% of your body weight with an unhealthy organ system.
When you put it like that, it makes me want to pay attention.
Yes.
So when you say inflamed, when you say unhealthy, what is inflamed or unhealthy muscle?
I think about it in a handful of lanes. Unhealthy muscle is sedentary. You will see, if people like to look on PubMed, healthy sedentary individuals, there's no such thing. If you are sedentary, your muscle is unhealthy. You do not have to be overweight, and you will not feel it as your muscle becomes more insulin resistant. Insulin is a hormone released from the pancreas to move glucose out of the bloodstream, so carbohydrates out of the bloodstream into cells. You do not want to rely on insulin over time. It's a fail-safe trap. It's not something that we should be using every day. We should be able to design a diet where we are not requiring these robust releases of insulin. Insulin resistance, we've all heard about it. It is at the root of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, all of these diseases. So healthy skeletal muscle is the primary site for glucose disposal. And when you are in motion and moving, glucose doesn't require insulin to get out of the bloodstream. So essentially, you are using this organ system that you have voluntary control over to manage your metabolic health. Here's the thing with muscle. We understand that it is important for strength, mobility, and power. That's the obvious.
Yeah.
Okay. That is only one small part of what muscle is for. It is also, as it makes up 40% of our body weight, the primary site for mitochondria, the powerhouses of our cell. You want more energy? You want to be able to utilize foods and energy and all processes in the body to generate energy? It comes from healthy mitochondria. Mitochondria is housed in your skeletal muscle. Also, muscle as the primary site for fuel distribution and utilization. So think about it like this. I'm a really heavy packer. Are you a heavy packer? Probably not.
Packer like as in suitcases.
Yeah. I'm going somewhere.
Oddly enough, yes.
Okay.
But okay, go on.
So for the viewer or the listener, think about your muscle like a suitcase. You open up, I have a really cute carry-on. It's silver. I open it up. I'm going on a trip for 4 days. But instead of packing for 4 days, I pack for 14. I'm jumping on my suitcase to try to get everything in. It's not possible. I have 15 pairs of shoes. I have 10 outfits. There's nowhere it can go. Muscle, if you take that clothing and shoe analogy, that is carbohydrates and fuel. We are overeating carbohydrates and calories. We have nowhere else to put it. We cannot pack any more in muscle because muscle is saturated. Therefore, fatty acids, glucose, branched chain amino acids stay in the bloodstream. And so from a large perspective, if we take a step back, we recognize that muscle is where our metabolic power comes from and how we can negotiate avoiding diseases. Makes sense, right?
So muscle and having healthier muscle can avoid diseases.
Yes. Because think about it. These diseases that we are chasing, we believe that they are diseases of obesity, right? Obesity is the problem. Cardiovascular disease is the problem. But where are all those metabolic roots from? Muscle. Because muscle is the primary site for fatty acid oxidation. So at rest, when you and I are sitting here, our muscle is burning fat, primarily fatty acids. If we overconsume carbohydrates, we distort our metabolism and we force it to burn glucose. And eventually, there's no room, because we haven't moved, to put any of that glucose. Then we start to gain body fat. Then we start to have elevated triglycerides, elevated insulin, elevated glucose. So these diseases of aging that we are chasing begin in skeletal muscle first. And so when we think about nutrition, we have to modify the amount of carbohydrates that we are eating. We have to eat dietary protein. You can't make it. You must eat it to maintain the structures, all of our structures. And so this is a little heavy science, but with this information, it allows us to have agency to understand the importance of skeletal muscle, and then also that sedentary behavior will kill us, even if we don't feel it in that moment. I mean, Dinesh, I don't know, Dinesh is here with me. If I'm not working out, I mean, I bring bands with me because I've got 3 interviews today.
Yeah.
You better believe that I'm doing push-ups in between, which sounds ridiculous, but it only sounds ridiculous because we are sedentary and domesticated.
Okay, so I want your take on this because for years, I've looked at certain studies in terms of anxiety. I know there's a big claim, but in terms of SSRIs and all these things that are out there, time and time again, I have seen that exercise is either as effective, if not more, than those. Now, I'm not saying not to take those. I'm just saying it seems very effective. Through the years, I have told people, high performers, in between meetings, go and do push-ups, go do squats, go do something where you're pressing against something, where you're expounding energy to depress the nervous system.
Totally.
And each and every time people report back how helpful it is. What would you say just in terms of the mental effects of resistance training, of having more healthier muscle where you're less sedentary? What are the mental effects?
Okay, well, this is a really important point. First of all, I like what you said, SSRIs, if people need them. You know, I don't really talk about this, but I trained in psychiatry for 2 years. And these are very real things. But with the utilization of exercise, it can augment it, and sometimes it can be more effective. And here is why. When we contract skeletal muscle as an organ system, it releases myokines based on the intensity and duration of our training. So if you are, and by the way, all of which to say we have voluntary control over, we have the ability to take immediate action. When you're in between meetings, they are doing push-ups, which I do all the time. They're utilizing glucose. They're cleaning out their muscle from glycogen. And as they are contracting this muscle, they are releasing molecules into the bloodstream that go and affect the brain and produce more BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which helps with neurogenesis and changes the landscape of the brain.
Okay, so in layman's terms, if someone is like BDNF, that sounds sexual. Like, what is it? What does it mean?
Exercise makes you smarter and makes you think quicker.
There we go. Wow. Yes.
And we were designed to do it. Here's the thing. We were designed to do hard things. Comfort that we are seeing that we have is slowly killing us, both mentally and physically. Truly, I mean this. And when we do hard things, when we put ourselves in a position of friction, we become better. And we don't just become better unilaterally, meaning they're not just getting stronger at push-ups. They're getting quicker at thinking. They're getting more metabolically healthy. They are getting better at aging. It's pretty powerful.
It is pretty powerful. So are you saying that if someone goes and works out and they get to that point where they go, it's hard, I can't do this, or my muscles are burning, or I want to give up, but they push past that. They reach that friction point and they move past. You're saying that that helps all processes of the body from mental to physical as well?
Yes. And in fact, so I wrote this playbook. We were talking before we started recording. And I said,
this is it right here. The Forever Strong playbook.
It's actually kind of a fake playbook right now because inside it's not the playbook.
Yeah,
but it's funny that
I'm really excited about
myself.
this.
I just outed myself. But here's the reality. I wrote the book that I wanted. And I've been seeing patients for almost 20 years. So when I finished medical school, I started seeing patients right away in nutritional sciences because I'd already trained 4 years in nutritional sciences, done a whole bunch of other things. And if you go to anyone's house, you'll see 15 diet books on there because we chase novelty. Mm-hmm. And I always thought to myself, okay, and you probably see this in your own practice. What is the disconnect between being curious, having information, and taking action? Like, why? It's great to think about something, but it's a whole other aspect to actually do it.
Yes.
And so this playbook addresses the mental framework. And one of those tools is providing friction. There's emotional friction, there's physical friction, there's environmental friction, all of which make us stronger in each and every domain. So, I mean, think about it. Can you imagine putting yourself in a position where you have to commit to calling someone that you really don't want to and staying on the phone for 20 minutes? How annoying would that be?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can already feel the listener going, I don't want to put myself through friction.
Right. But we all know, everybody knows this, whether they're acknowledging it or not, that friction is required to grow. There's no other way. The only way to get stronger is to practice strength. And again, strength is multidimensional. You leverage the physical body to move the mental body. And there's a bi-directional relationship between physical strength and mental strength. And sometimes you cannot get to that mental strength. You must use the body as a tool. And I'm going to give you an example based on your clients. We often get caught in repetitive thoughts. The brain is an organ and it's really good at thinking, and not all of those thoughts are relevant.
No one can relate to that, right? Overthinking, repetitive thoughts.
But also the brain is doing exactly what the brain is designed to do, pumping out thoughts. So as we get very locked into this thought, you use your body to get out of it. And there's a whole host of tools like breathing and sighing. Those work, but I need something more intense than that, me personally.
Yeah.
Try to hold on to that negative thought when you are jumping into a cold plunge. Have you done a cold plunge?
I have.
Tell me that is not impossible. It's impossible to think of anything else other than you think your body parts are falling off.
It's survivalistic.
Right.
It's like people who are so stressed, go camping for 2 days, even though I know that's not everyone's jam. The only thing that but the only thing that you think about is I need to eat, I need shelter, it goes right back to basics. Cold plunge, you don't have time to think about the worries.
So you are leveraging your physicality to move your mentality.
Yes.
This can also be done at any gym at any time. Do a max out effort sprint on an Airdyne, on a bike, anything. Go out for 20 seconds. I guarantee you when you are done, you do not have the luxury of thinking about whatever you were thinking about. You're like, I can't even remember.
It's so true.
And it is so quick and so swift that we have to understand that our human weaknesses are totally predictable.
Say that again. Our human weaknesses are totally predictable.
We are predictable. You know that when you travel, you are not going to follow your nutrition plan or your training plan. Yet we are shocked when we go and we travel and then we don't do it. You know that it's coming. You must plan for it and you must practice it in your mind and prepare. So if you do that, then you are not surprised by what happens next. I'll give you an example. So if someone is listening to this and they're like, I'm in my 40s, I don't want to be oldish, or if I'm going to be oldish, I want to be oldish better. Mm-hmm. every Friday night comes around, and let's say they've got kids and there's ice cream in the freezer, or there's wine in the, I don't know where wine is stored, in the wine cellar or the cupboard, or I don't know. And every Friday night they go, you know what? I am not going to have that wine and that ice cream. Every Friday night, I deserve it. Saturday, well, it doesn't matter. I went off my plan. And they do that over and over and over again. This erodes the way in which they are taking agency to age well, number one. Number two, it's not a surprise. You must plan for this. And it is predictable in that sense. It is also predictable in work. So if we were to frame this up, these are the reasons people do not stick to a plan. They wait for motivation. They are surprised by their own humanness, and they don't account for it. And the way to account for it is to train the mental muscle into neutrality.
I love that. So how do you do that? How do you train the mental muscle into neutrality?
And this actually comes from seeing patients over years. And there are a few attributes that you show me, and I know how successful this person is in any domain of their life, whether it is from a health perspective, a money perspective, a work perspective, a personal development perspective. These individuals are neutral. They do not celebrate every win. Let me tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story. So I had my practice on Fifth Avenue, and it's this very hoity-toity practice. And I was like, okay, I thought that this is what I wanted. And then I had my first tier 1 military operator as a patient. I got a call from my friend who's like, listen, this guy got into a really bad accident. He's not feeling well, and he's been everywhere else. Can you see him? I was like, of course. So this guy, Brian, was a 20-year SEAL. So he's a career Navy SEAL. He's a breacher. Breacher is the first guy in. They're the guys that blow things up. Been to multiple deployments, and he had never been injured. He was home on a recent deployment in Las Vegas, Nevada, on just some open road on his motorcycle going 5 miles an hour. I don't know, he was like checking out the scene, whatever happened. A 17-year-old girl texting and driving hit him, and he lost his leg. He's sitting in my office, and I'm thinking to myself, I had a million narratives going on in my head. His life is over. He can't be an alpha male anymore. He spent his entire life training to protect our country, and this was all ripped away from him. I had this whole narrative. Sitting in my office, and this guy is a massive Texan, right? He's exactly what you would picture. Solomon's, flannel, hat, probably didn't brush his teeth that day. I can make fun of team guys because I'm married to one, so I know exactly their hygiene. Anyway, he's sitting in my office, and we're talking about how he's feeling. And he's like, doc, I'm so tired. I'm having some phantom limb pain. And I'm like, no, come on, Brian. How are you doing? I lean in again, and I'm looking at him. And I was really overconfident in my ability of knowing people, right? And I had created a story about his experience. And he looks at me like, I don't know, I had 3 heads and spinach in my teeth. And he's like, what are you talking about, doc? I just told you, I'm tired and my fake leg is hurting. I'm like, no. Brian, how are you really doing? And he's like, oh. He looked at me, looked at his leg. He's like, oh, doc, you mean my leg? I'm like, yeah, dude. He's like, doc, that was 6 months ago. What are you talking about?
Wow.
And I was like, holy shit. I don't know if you can swear on the show.
You can swear on the show.
Holy shit. It hit me like a ton of bricks that this guy had no stories, and he had moved on from something that was life-changing. And me over here, I can't get over something that happened 6 years. I'm still upset about my mom, what she did 6 years ago to me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow. And then that wasn't the first time. That was the first time that I really, really recognized it. But then I'd seen it in multiple other patients. This level of neutrality, this lack of story, and this ability to be discerning on what they were thinking to be able to take the next right action. Discerning of thought, not too high and not too low. Did he go through a period where he was pissed and angry? Yeah.
Of course.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana. But at the end of the day, he's like, what I can control, what I can't control. And anxiety comes from this idea of the uncertainness of life and thinking about the future.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, what's the next right thing for me to do?
And SEALs can't do that, right? They don't sit and lament over what could happen.
I have taken care of many SEALs over the years. So this is, part of my work is in special operations. I'm married to one. I take care of these guys. It is something very near and dear to my heart, and I have been doing this for years. Patient after patient, they are the same. I mean, not all of them. Ray, I'm talking about you. You're a little crazy. But the reality is, like Jason Redman. I don't know if you know him. He was in the same platoon as my husband. Got his face blown off, 37 surgeries. And he puts a sign on his door that's like, don't come in here if you're coming in to feel sorry for me, because I got these injuries defending a country I love, protecting people I love, go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
There is not an internal narrative, which, by the way, if you are married to one, it's really annoying.
Yeah.
Because I'm bitching about things all the time, and he's like, oh, it's just another Tuesday. But you don't have to lose your leg. You don't have to have your face blown up to be able to learn these skills. These are learnable skills. And I'm going to condense it even more. How do you learn to have a level of neutrality? We talked about impermanence. Things are just not that big of a deal. Always check your emotions. As high as you go is as low as you're going to fall.
Mm.
If you get amped up for every interview, Randy, you'd be exhausted.
Exhausted, depleted.
Because if you, and you are very steady. I can't believe how much I like you. This is really fun for me.
Thank you.
I mean, it's true. Very, very zen here. But you will not believe that as you get more amped up, as you tell yourself these stories, as high as you allow those emotions to go, there's a biological dopamine drive, right? You are motivated and you are driven. It is dangerous because at the peak of, say, doing something great, at the peak of releasing a book, if I am not careful, I will chase that high and that drive and that story to, I don't know, let me write another book. Let me buy a new car. Let me buy a new house. I don't know, for me, it's online shopping. Whatever it is that will pull you back and create this drive, this feeling, it is a vulnerability. And after, so for example, everyone listening has done something amazing or maybe written a book or closed a deal or gave a talk. Right afterwards, they're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
But you are only exhausted to the level of which you allowed yourself to go high.
Wow, that is such an interesting point. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but you were talking and I just had this weird existential moment of almost getting emotional because I so wish that every doctor could come at a level of care that you do with this well-roundedness, because it is really whole and holistic. It's looking at, because I imagine putting myself in a patient point of view or a listener point of view, if they're hearing what you're saying and they're going, yes, absolutely, but I'm picking my kid up from school and someone's crying and my nervous system is heightened, what do I do? This feels impossible to do. How do I do this?
Yeah. I'm going to say something that I can't believe I'm going to say. I'm a trained physician. I'm a fellowship trained physician, but it's just the modality I use to be able to, I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but to help heal people, right? People heal themselves, but the modality that I chose as an entry point is medicine.
I love it. That's the vehicle.
It is the
vehicle that gets
vehicle.
you to do the work that you do.
It's true. And all that to say is I just wanted to share because I think that I probably regret that I even said that, but it's important because medicine is a modality and it's important to be able to diagnose disease and it's important to be able to teach people to eat well, to live well. But at the end of the day, what it's really about is I believe that we have the ability to create stronger, more resilient humans. And I'm really frightened and concerned about what I see. And alone, I'm not going to be able to change it. I'm not. But collectively, if we embody a certain ethos of doing things and we lead by example and we recognize that these hard things are a privilege and that they sharpen us, that they don't weaken us, and then collectively we can create a cultural shift. And so as someone is sitting there going, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming, it's just one more rep. It's just one more rep. You just have to go one more block. It's not going to last forever. It's just the next rep in front of you. You know, I came here, right? And I have, again, 2 little kids, which by the way, I don't have full-time help. And people think that that's interesting because I run 4 businesses and I'm a practicing physician. I either pick up my kids or I take them to school. I either get the mornings or the afternoons. And I always get the evenings. And when I think about how am I going to do all that, right? If I looked at my week right now, in 3 days, I'm doing 9 podcasts. I'm taking a nighttime flight home so I can go to chapel with my kids in the morning because I try never to miss chapel on Thursday morning. After that, I'm taking my kids, we're going to Austin, and I'm doing 2 podcasts. And then I'm keynoting at an event. It's going to be Andrew Huberman, Peter Attia, and Rhonda Patrick. So Andrew and Rhonda are doing one day, Peter and I are doing the next. I'm keynoting, and then I'm doing 2 more interviews. And then the next day, I'm going to a baby shower for one of my patients. And then I'm keynoting again. And then I'm doing a podcast. And then I'm going to drive back up. And then I'm going to go to Tampa to go to a meeting. And then I'll fly back. If I think about that, I am like, holy fucking shit.
Right.
So instead of doing that, here's what I can do. I can't think about that. What's the next thing right in front of me? Mm-hmm. I need to show up for Oldish. I need to have done my homework to be able to provide value to you and your listeners so that they can listen to this and they can take some small piece of this, internalize it, and transform even just a little. And then I'm going to go do push-ups. And then I'm going to go to the next thing. And I'm going to sit down and prep for it. So it's just 1 rep at a time. And it doesn't last forever. And it doesn't last for anyone forever. And you can practice. So by modifying my experience in the moment, you can stay steady. You don't celebrate every win. You celebrate, if you were to think about tactical things you can do, you celebrate every 5th win. And I don't care where it lands. You get to celebrate every 5th win. And you only get to celebrate for 15 minutes. And people are like, God, Gabrielle, that sounds so negative. It's not. If your desire is to show up and be the best version of yourself, that requires consistent movement forward. If you are chasing the highs and the lows, you will fall off track. I've seen it 100,000 times. When you get high and then you get low, You go, I don't feel like doing the workout, the nutrition plan. I'm just going to lay in bed and watch Netflix and chill. Every single time I have had a patient, and again, I have an active medical practice. And by the way, it's called Strong Medical. How's that for a name?
Love it.
I love it too. I'd like to say I thought of it, which by the way, I did. And I wanted to also call my podcast Strong Medicine, but apparently that's the idea of strong. Anyway, okay. So I just had I had to add a little humor in here because I know this is getting a little intense. So this is my coping mechanism, is a little bit of humor, which by the way, no one thinks I'm funny.
Little levity is always good.
No one thinks I'm funny except for
Really?
me. Yeah, no, nobody. But except for me.
You're funny.
I know. I'm
You're
hilarious.
quick.
Hilarious. Exactly. So when you go high and go low, there's repercussions. And people go, Gabrielle, that's so negative. This is not about being negative. This is, what is the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal, and I don't even like to set goals. I think we set standards for how we live, but it's to be able to be consistent, to move towards the most meaningful things in your life, which you pick it. It could be people, it could be work, it could be your mission. But if you are on the ride of your emotions, you always will be vulnerable to falling off your nutrition plan. That Friday night girl who is like, I just deserve it and I'm going to eat this. It's not about the wine and the ice cream. It's about not setting a standard for herself. And then 5 years down the line, she's going to look back at the regrets that she had because she didn't take those next right steps. And so before someone falls off track, we now can expose that the human desire is to chase novelty and to chase dopamine. Very practically speaking, you only celebrate every fifth win. Another thing, we all can afford or like Starbucks, or pick your choice. What is something you like? Give me something.
I don't know if I like it, but once in a while I will go for a Siete bag of chips just because I'm like, I don't know what else and I need something.
I love that. Is there something you do every day?
I work out pretty much every day.
Do you listen to loud music?
I do not.
Oh, you're pretty zen. Do you have caffeine?
One espresso in
You're
the morning.
killing me. Don't you do anything? Okay, so anyway.
I do. I'm on my phone probably too much for my liking.
Okay. So I'm going to pretend that you like to listen to loud music and you like to drink enough caffeine to kill a draft horse. I'm just going to pretend. Okay. You are going to, does anyone have a coin in this room? Coin? Anyone?
Ooh.
We're going to do a little show and tell really quick.
We like experiential here.
Okay, here we go. Give it to me. Anything you got. Throw it this way, baby.
And
I don't care. Okay.
we have a coin. What kind? What is that, by the way?
I like this. So this says, they that wait upon the Lord shall something renew their strength.
Oh, is that like a St. Christopher?
Oh, that's really sweet.
It was my dad's. I got it after he passed away.
Oh,
That's so sweet.
Thank you for letting us borrow it.
Okay. Well, that's deep, but anyway,
I know.
we're
I
going to
mean,
go into this. Okay.
can't help but get deep here.
Okay. So you are someone who loves loud music.
Loud music, caffeine to kill a
draft
bull,
horse.
a draft horse.
So this is me. I'm like, this. I'm asking for a friend. So heads, you get to drink it, or tails, you don't.
Okay.
And you don't get to listen to loud music.
Okay.
So here, you have to flip it.
Okay.
Because the real reason you have to flip it is because I'm not going to be able to flip it. It's going to fall. So you pick your heads or tails.
Okay.
And wait, before you do that,
Okay.
it could be, how about this? I don't know if you like your mother-in-law, but think about someone that you just really wouldn't want to call.
Okay.
Or something like that. We'll start with
Okay.
the draft horse.
Okay.
So head. So you decide one side you get to get it, and the other side you don't.
Okay. So heads,
Fine. You
I
get
do
it.
it. Tails, I don't.
You don't get
Tails.
it. You don't get it.
I don't.
You don't get it. How annoying would that be if you do that every day for a week and you didn't get that caffeine or loud music? The first 3 days,
Yeah.
no espresso. I'm sorry. You're out.
Oh, that'd be hard.
But it would be annoying.
Yeah, it'd be annoying.
Or let's say you like, you got like something like shopping online. You don't like shopping online. Give me something that's something that you really enjoy that gives you a little dopamine hit. It could be caffeine, nicotine, chocolate, sex. Don't take away sex from your wife. shopping.
Okay, let me
something.
think about this. I like going and playing with my kids.
Okay, well that's positive. We can't.
Oh, it has to be something.
It has to be something that.
I really feel for me, it's scrolling on my phone.
Great. Okay, fine. So you just flipped a coin.
Yeah.
And let's say you get access to your phone an hour a day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we just took that away.
Okay.
That would be annoying.
Yes.
And you do it every day and you're tolerating just a little bit of friction. It's just annoying enough that you get a little bit better at it. It's just annoying enough. So you are getting excited to have the thing and do the thing. For me, it's shopping online.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're doing the shopping. Heads, I get to do it. Tails, I don't. Oh my God, I just had a great day. Why can't I do that?
So do you literally flip a coin
Yeah.
sometimes? You do.
So for me, it's loud music, caffeine, and
I wouldn't have guessed that.
it's brutal. Really? You wouldn't have guessed
Caffeine,
it?
loud music,
I mean, come on.
asking for a friend.
Yeah. And
Got
it
it.
gets really annoying. And you're like, no, I'm just this one time. No. And so what this does is it begins to acclimate you to some of these annoying things. Another thing is, and again, you get a pick. It is pick the thing that you absolutely hate to do. Everyone has a chore that they hate.
Mm-hmm.
Put that in the calendar, first thing in the morning, wake up a little bit earlier and do it for an hour straight.
Yes.
And there's a million different examples. Don't celebrate every win. You had a great podcast. We had a great podcast so far together. We don't get to celebrate that.
Right.
Because it's positive thing number 4.
And because what I'm extrapolating from this is if you then celebrate, you have this big high, you have to come down from that high.
That's right.
And then if you're chasing the high, let's say you do a podcast that doesn't go as well, then the narrative starts to come in as to why. You start to second guess yourself. The thinking happens, and then you're at a deficit.
That's right. So purposeful restriction is very helpful, and delayed gratification. One of the things that we used to do is that we used to put people's favorite food on their desk and just leave it there. You can't eat it, just leave it there. And then the first 3 days, they're just like, oh man, just so good. I'm just going to replace it. No one's going to know I ate it. And you leave it there. And initially, I mean, just like the most salient thing, they don't get to touch it. And then after a while, it loses its hold over you. And so the whole idea is, how do we begin to control our mentality so that we can take the next right step? So there is discernment about all the noise that is coming in. Is this a relevant thought? Is this not a relevant thought? Brain is doing what it does. You take the next right action, which is you have a plan in place. You're not setting goals. You have a standard. You execute on that standard. There's a million different ways you can talk yourself out of something, but if it becomes the standard and these are the guardrails, this is what we do, then when you don't want to do it, you can begin to tolerate this level of neutrality, like, it's just another thought. Yeah, okay. And then nothing is that big of a deal. So let's say you fall off the wagon, it's not that big of a deal.
I hope that everyone is gonna. I would recommend listening to this episode more than once, and I rarely say that because I feel like I'm getting a master class in how to work with myself and my thoughts, which I imagine is one of the biggest barriers to eating the way that people want to eat, exercising in the amount that they need to. One question I want to ask you is, how much does self-worth enter into the picture in terms of eating, exercising, following goals that you have?
What a great question. And I don't know if I covered this in this book, but people will only ever get as healthy as they feel worthy of.
Oh, say that again and explain it.
People will only ever get as healthy as they feel worthy of. And I'm going to give you an example. So in our medical practice, we have a nutritionist. We have a few nutritionists. Kayla is extraordinary. So Kayla Martin, if you guys are listening and looking for a nutritionist, she is extraordinary. And before Kayla, I used to do all the nutrition. And now we do it collaboratively. People would come into our practice and they would lose 20 pounds. This was before GLP-1. This was before any of these other things. They would be 30 pounds overweight. They'd lose 20, and then they'd lose another 30 and maybe an extra 10. And they had the body and health that they had always wanted. And after a month, they started to get really uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable of feeling worthy of having that body and health that they obtained. And they would sabotage themselves.
That's so fascinating because I think the regular thought would be that they're feeling the best they've ever felt. They're looking in the mirror.
They are. And they don't feel worthy of it.
How does one up their worth meter?
It's a lot of self-reflection and recognizing a lot of it's just narrative. It's not true.
Yeah.
You know, humans are predictable and their brain gets very good at thinking the same four thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, until you upgrade those thoughts, everyone has like the same four thoughts. I'm too old. I'm never going to get healthy. I don't know why I try this. I'm not going to have enough money. I'm not going to be successful enough. You know, as a doctor, almost practicing over 15 years, I have heard it all.
I'm sure you've heard everything.
It's extremely difficult to shock me at this point. But what becomes very clear is that each through line is not that different from the next person. It's not that different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just human nature. And you're not in it in isolation. And so when we recognize that people experience this, that your friend or the person that you know or the next person, everybody experiences it. But those individuals that are really able to quiet their mind and have discernment over their thoughts are those people that are able to take agency. They are able to eat a higher protein diet, whether they feel like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
They are able to I got home at, I don't know, for the first day, I think I got back at pretty late, 7 or 8 or maybe 9 o'clock. You know what I did? I went to the hotel gym. Do you think I wanted to? No, I bitched and complained for the first 10 minutes in my mind, and I did it anyway. So fine, if you're going to do it, you can bitch and complain, but you're still going to do it either way because you set a standard.
Yes, that's the thing. I purposely record messages for my social media where I will say, yep, 98% of me does not want to go into that gym right now. I don't want to do it. My whole body is telling me, you know, trying to just stay back, and yet I will do it. The only reason why I share that is not to be so motivational and be like, look what I'm doing, I'm in the gym. It's the before of, I don't want to do this, and my mind's going to try and talk me out of it. But when I do, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to be sharper. I'm going to be clear. And I think for most people, especially with muscle, with health, you know, there's a lot of talk about longevity, is I'm going to do this just because I'm going to look good or I'm going to live longer. And the truth is to show up on a daily basis to feel better. And that's the reason why I think it's important to do it anyway, even if you don't want to, is to have agency, like what you're saying.
And you have to become very connected with your why. And that why has to be so deep because you know what? You're going to want to quit and it's going to suck and you're going to be tired and you're not going to want to do it. And I'm talking about if you are really pushing yourself to a capacity where you have to grow, it will suck. You have to be ready to answer that call within yourself as to the why at which you are doing this. And you have to become very clear. So I put that in the playbook. People have to get very clear as to why they're offering up certain sacrifices because it's coming. Do not be surprised.
Right. It's going to happen.
But be very clear for when those things happen. The answer to that is action. But the only way you can dig deep and get that action is if your why is undeniable. And it's different for everybody. But it must be undeniable. And you must be deeply committed.
We all need to find that why. Tell us about the Forever Strong playbook. I know your first book, Forever Strong, New York Times bestseller, incredible book. What's in Forever Strong playbook?
I wrote the book that I wanted. And this is how to think and it talks about all these mindset tools. And I put tools in there that I've never seen before because I really brought them forth from patience and practice, environmental friction, emotional friction, physical friction, all of the things that we have done within this practice for years that work. I don't need you to think about it. There's not some long scientific explanation. It's a playbook. You pick it up, it tells you exactly how to think, how to move, how to eat, how to recover. Has a bunch of killer recipes in there, like really killer, low carb bread pudding, by the way. Spaghetti squash, egg in a hole, which those are my two favorites. Swear. But it is the book and it's beautifully done. So there's pictures and graphs. It's the book I wanted.
I can't wait. I think it's so powerful to have a playbook where someone can just pick it up and follow and know that there is not only good advice, but it's what you've seen with your patients. It's practical. I love something I read. It's practical and it's tactical. I did say, I was like, that should be a t-shirt for the book, but it's so important. When does the book come out?
January 27th.
Great. So we will put that in the show notes for everyone. We'll put links to your social media, to your website. Thank you so much for being here. I will tell you this. I had all of these plans to go into hormones, to go into all of these areas that I've heard you speak about that I wanted to delve into, but we took a different route, and I think it's something that is so needed because it's the how to get to all of those other areas. I would invite everyone to follow you on Instagram. I think you have amazing content, and I just want to thank you for being you in the world, for being such a light and being so dedicated to your craft that you show up the way that you do.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
There are a lot of things that we talked about in this episode today. It's one thing to hear about this. It's another to take action and create the life that you want. If there's something that you want to create in your life, more fulfillment, more happiness, more joy, getting in touch with your intuition and how to make better decisions, then go to my website, randyspelling.com, and find out more there. Thanks.
I had the time of my life. I never felt this way before.
From building timelines to assigning the right people and even spotting risks across dozens of projects, Monday Sidekick knows your business, thinks ahead, and takes action. One click on the star and consider it done.
And I owe it all to you.
Try Monday Sidekick, AI you'll love to use on Monday.com.